Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 30th of November and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll simplify the articles and in the detail, all the articles we are going to see. Before guys starting, I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer PDF. In this explainer PDF, we have given the notes of all the articles, fine, and you can use these particular notes, fine, for your examination purpose. And in the last, we have also given the mains practice question that can be utilized. Now, before starting up, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand the placement of the articles and which articles will be important for the examination. Now, the first article, doubling court strength won't end the pendency Supreme Court. So, guys, we'll see this particular article with respect to the judicial pendencies. Then, SIA to get 25% stake in the Vistara. Not important article, guys, with respect to the examination. Then, moving on, betting for exotic meat, gambling dens in Manipur descend further into illegality. So, guys, in Manipur, it is being observed that for the animal meat there is the betting that is going on, and on the basis of that particular betting, exotic animals meat is being given to the people. Now this is something which calls in question the environmental ethics. Okay, so this is a certain issue that is going on here. Then moving on into the city section, the politics etc regional issues have been mentioned, not very much important for the examination. So the MCD elections are going to be held, so that news is majorly filled. Then the advertisements etc has been given in the paper. Then here, the device which can convert any normal bed into ICU to be deployed. We'll see this particular article. Then coming to the editorial page, the first article, setting the language for cooperative federalism. We'll see this particular article, guys, with respect to exam. A spy master who now has the Pakistan army's reins. Now the article is not important, fine. Article is talking about the internal issues and all such kind of things. Not important article, no need to go here. Then more vaccine choices. Okay, so basically intranasal vaccine, it is a welcome initiative, fine. So intranasal vaccine is one which can directly be infused through the nose. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that as this COVID-19 pandemic, now basically COVID-19 related vaccinations and all these trends etc that are coming, fine, you don't need to go too much into that particular detail because this is a very evolving kind of an issue that's there. Oil no bar, fine. The Biden administration decides to ease sanction on Venezuela and to retain Chevron into joint venture oil fields is the maximum pressure campaign that the USA is taking up. Okay. However, guys, basically the Venezuela, US, and basically on that particular nexus, this particular article has come. Moving on, EWS are well represented in higher education. Now, this particular article, guys, is talking about the analysis of the EWS people's reservation into the higher institutions. So recently the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act that came, it is being discussed here. Then after that, use agencies as a political tool. Fine, not important article, guys. This is just an article, a politicized article that's there. Fine. Where does waste originate and go? Then coming to the text and the context on the entry of the women in masjid. So guys, this particular article, it is just giving the references from the Quran, giving the references from the Torah and all such kind of things. Fine. So basically the article, it is having a lot of religious undertone and religious text and religious references are being given. Okay, so basically the article doesn't contain much of a substance. I'll not suggest you to go and read this particular article. Then what is the Karnataka's voter data theft case? We'll see this article briefly. Then moving on, the lack of strategic voting. We'll see this particular article also briefly. Then easy to hear Shiv Sena dispute. Now the political articles etc are going on. Fine. AIMS service remained disrupted for 7th straight day amid alleged ransomware attack on its server. Okay guys, what is a ransomware? Ransomware is a malware. It is a kind of a malware attack in which computer systems will be compromised, they will be logged, fine, from the information, and if information is to be received, then a ransom, the money is to be paid. So recently a ransomware attack happened onto the AIMS, and to get the access of the system back, the ransom, okay, the money is being asked. Now we we can see this particular thing as an example. You don't need to go too much into the details, but just we can see as an example that how the cyber vulnerabilities are there, and the AIMS, which happens to be the most premier medical institution in India, it is also facing with the cyber vulnerabilities. Okay, then guys, moving on, extremism, terrorism are against meaning of Islam, fine. Then guys, the political articles are coming on this particular page, not very much important. Then Niti Aayog proposes decarbonizing of industrial emissions. We'll see this particular article. UNDP to help waste segregation workers access government schemes. We'll see this particular article. India Bangladesh established contact for more Kukichin refugees. We'll see this particular article also. Now Telangana gets recovery notice for taking up works not allowed under MG Narega. So certain projects were taken up here. Now these particular things actually you don't need to go. So basically what they have provided, fine. Rural Development Ministry has asked the state government to return the 151 crore rupees for construction of platforms for drying fish grains. Okay, so this is something that has come. Now you don't need to go into these kind of a technical things. Okay, now moving on. After that, Beijing to diffuse a protest with carrots and stick pushes vaccine. So guys, this continuing controversy is going on where the COVID-19 strategy, okay, of the China is being questioned by their own people. Okay, though they follow zero COVID policy, and now as the cases are spiking, they have brought the lockdown. People are not happy with that. Now in this particular thing, they are just pushing the vaccines on one hand, and on to the other hand they are saying that the people who will create the ruckus, will create the protest, they'll be punished. Fine. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma living in Japan says report. Not important article with respect to the exam. Slow capital spending by state CPSC still a worry. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Fine. Retail pilot for digital rupee to start from December 1. So what is digital rupee, guys? A digital rupee, it is just the counterpart of the physical currency. It is not the cryptocurrency of India. Okay, then further moving on, we have the sports page. So this is, guys, the overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now before starting up, guys, I will take the quotation. Now the quotation we take in every class, and the purpose of this quotation is that you can complement them along with your GS answers 1 2 3 4 or with the essay. So today we'll take the quotation from the William Shakespeare, who says that no legacy is so rich as the honesty. So when you are honest, when you are the person of integrity, you create such legacy, you create such trail, fine, and nothing can be more enriching, nothing can be more powerful than such kind of a trail which a person leads by the honesty. Now this particular idea can be used in the GS paper number 4. GS paper number 4 answers related to ethics, integrity and aptitude. So in the GS paper number 4, human values are mentioned, and within the human values, we can discuss, we can put the this particular quotation. Now moving on. Okay, so guys, as we are talking about this thing, just I wanted to bring one particular thing to the notice, and just I wanted to reach the people who are doing this particular thing. So this is actually a paid group of one of a institution. Okay, and you can find the institution by seeing this logo. So this institution is having more than 7.5 lakh subscribers on the YouTube, and a good institution. And actually this is a thing which is happening from quite a few days. Find that they are posting the content of thinking palette in their paid courses. Now see, I don't have any problem in sharing the content every day. Every day the stats of the Telegram channel shows this thing, that our synoptic notes are being shared by at least 100 150 people. Okay, but that is not at all a problem. The point is that when we are trying to keep this initiative free, then posting the same notes as a paid thing is something which should not have been done. Moreover, at least there should be the courtesy to ask the permission from the one who is creating these particular notes. So without seeking the permission and promoting a free initiative into the paid course, taking money for that particular thing is something which I don't approve. This is something which I don't like. So the people doing such kind of a thing should not do that thing. So that is all. No hard feelings. Best of luck to everyone. And now let's start with the first article. UNDP to help waste segregation workers access government schemes. Okay, before that, a very good morning to everyone. Happy good morning, Pushpendra, Karan, Spurti, Shivam, Sonam, Roshan, Kumar, Gomed, SK, Hardik. Hardik, good morning, and thank you, Hardik. My health is now good. Anushka, Nitya, Anil, Shraddha, Rahul, Sandeep, Tushar, Aishwarya, okay, Pedarama, Madhusmita, okay, Mamtasmi, Pallavi, okay, Neha, Mer, Kavya, Najuka, Tripedi, Anupam, Srijit, Bhagya. And apologies if I took somebody's name wrong. Okay, if I pronounced it wrong. Now, UNDP to help waste segregation workers access the government schemes. Now, Basically, guys, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as the schemes related to the financial inclusion, financial inclusion. Now, what this particular article, guys, is talking about. Now, we find this particular thing that the social security nets, we find this thing that the social security nets are very much weak often for the vulnerable sections of the society. Now, in this particular capacity, just few things I want to tell you. Guys, when we talk about the workforce of India, okay, understand this particular thing that around 91% of the people, they are working in the unorganized sector. 91% people are working in the unorganized, working into the unorganized and the informal sector, and often they don't have accessibility to the bank account, they don't have accessibility to the financial institutions, and because they don't have accessibility to the bank, many a time they are not able to get the government benefits. For example, right now the government is providing the many of the benefits directly through the DBT, direct benefit transfer. In the direct benefit transfer, all the benefits will be credited into the bank account. So you need to have the bank account first. If there is no bank account, the DBT benefits cannot be availed. Okay, and a large number of people are still not having the bank account. So therefore, in this particular direction, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, is helping the waste segregation workers so that they get a bank account, and in that particular bank account they can receive the government social security benefit schemes. Now, what has happened? UNDP, United Nations Development Program, okay, it is helping the waste segregation industry workers. Now, when we talk about the waste segregation, waste collectors, they are mostly involved into the informal unorganized sector. They don't have the accessibility to the bank account. Now, they will be provided the bank account, and by that particular thing they will further be helped into transition into the formal economy. They will also be able to access the government welfare schemes. So basically, as the part of the initiative, what the UNDP is doing, UNDP will provide the Jan Dhan account kits, Jan Dhan account kits to the workers working in this particular sector, and then the account opening will be facilitated. And by that particular thing, collection, segregation, recycling, okay, or by all these particular things, now the people who are working them, they will be made, they will be provided more empowered. Now, under this particular thing, the Safai Sathis or the waste pickers will be linked with the social security, okay, social security schemes which are being provided. So this is, guys, the UNDP's initiative that is going on. Now, what you can do, you can use this particular article as a kind of a reference. You can use this particular article as a kind of an example or a case study in your answers. Now, moving on. Niti Aayog proposes decarbonizing of the industrial emissions. Niti Aayog proposes the decarbonizing of the industrial emissions. Now, basically, guys, this particular article will be seen with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues of environment and ecology. Issues of environment and ecology. Now, before going in this particular article, some of the background we'll see, and after the background we'll go in the article as what it is talking about. See, uh, recently India had started the life movement. India had started the life movement, and under the life movement, India wants to create the 3P, that is the pro-planet people. Pro-planet people. Now, these pro-planet people will be the one who will be the responsible consumers. Now, life initiative is there. After that, the carbon neutrality target we have taken, that we will reach the carbon neutrality by 2070, and this particular target was taken in the COP26 that was held last year in the Glasgow. So the net carbon neutrality target we are also trying to achieve. Moreover, guys, recently what India has done, India has revised the INDC, intended national determined contribution target also. Moreover, India has also released for the first time low emission long term, India has released the long term low emission development strategy for the first time. So all these particular things, guys, have done. Now, why they are happening? They are happening to achieve only one thing, that is the decarbonization of Indian economy. Decarbonization means that we want to reduce the carbon footprint of our economy. Now, in that particular direction, the Niti Aayog has also proposed a policy. Niti Aayog has also proposed the policy for decarbonization of the industrial emissions. Now, what the Niti Aayog is providing? So basically, the Niti Aayog, it has proposed that the carbon capture, utilization and storage technology will be explored, and the CCUS, that is the carbon capture, utilization and storage technology, will be provided to the industries such as the steel sector, cement sector, oil sector, gas sector, petrochemicals, chemicals, fertilizers. Now, when we talk about, guys, these particular sectors, they are the one who has the highest carbon emission footprint. And because of their high carbon emission footprint, what happens? They are releasing a lot of CO2, and this particular CO2 is just being released into the environment, where it becomes a potent green, it became a potent greenhouse gas, and because of that particular thing, the average temperature is increasing. So basically guys, what will be happening? There will be the carbon capturing devices that will be installed, so that the smoke, so that basically the emissions that are being emitted, the CO2 can be trapped, and that particular CO2 will be stored. That particular CO2 will be stored, and that particular CO2 will be used for the other purposes. Is it clear or not? So basically the Niti Aayog is focusing that by 2050, the carbon dioxide emissions that are being released, they will be reduced. Okay, a substantial reduction will be done, and by that particular thing will be done by deploying the carbon capture and utilization and storage. Moreover, by this particular thing, we will be able to remove the CO2 from the environment, from the atmosphere. Okay, and by this particular thing, we can further achieve the goal of the carbon neutrality. We can become the self-reliant. Is it clear or not? Moreover, by this coal, that the CO2, sorry, by the CO2 that will be captured, that particular CO2 can be used for the industrial purposes as well. Is it clear or not? So this is something that will be done. Now, as of now, how that particular thing will be done, what exact will be the usages of this particular initiative, it has not been provided by the Niti Aayog. Right now, Niti Aayog just had put forward the proposal. So what will be the long-term usages? That thing has not been provided. Just a proposal has been kept. Now, this proposal can also be used in the examination. Fine. Now, moving to the next article. Doubling court strength won't end the pendency Supreme Court. Now, this particular article will see with respect to the judicial issues, GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, judicial issues. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about the judiciary, there is a one very big issue in the judiciary, that is the high judicial pendency. High judicial pendency. Now, for this particular thing, we are going to take some data. Now, this particular data, guys, it has been taken from the newspaper, the Hindu newspaper. A few days back, there was an infographic that came. Now, when we talk about the judicial pendency, you see this particular thing. 4.18 crore total cases are pending into the district and the taluk courts. Out of these 4.18 crore cases, 1.08 crore cases, that is 25% of the cases, are pending for more than 5 years. Okay, and the pendency is high in few of the states. We can see that in Uttar Pradesh, for example. Just a minute. Fine, we can see that there is the high pendency, and then there are basically, because of this particular pendency, we find that there are basically a kind of a judicial logjam that has emerged, and because of that judicial logjam, the justice is being delayed by a substantial time. Now, in this particular capacity, guys, we see that there is a state-wise share of the pendency of the cases. Now, to reduce this particular pendency, a petition was made into the Supreme Court, and the petition pointed this particular thing, that the number of judges in the Supreme Court, number of the judges in the High Court, they are needed to be increased. For example, the proposal has been made that the strength of the judges, the strength of the judiciary needs to be increased, double the number of judges in the High Court and the district judiciary. Now, the Chief Justice of India had said this particular thing, that yes, this suggestion is being given multiple number of times. Now, this suggestion seems very simplistic, that if we just simply double the number of the judges, the problem of the pendency will be reduced. But the Supreme Court, CJI, had said this thing, the problem is not just doubling, the problem is to have the good quality judges. Is it clear or not? When we talk about, guys, the High Court as well as the Supreme Court, the largest number of judges, they are made up of the advocates. Now the good quality of advocates who are ready to become the judge in the High Court and Supreme Court, their number is very much less. Many a times good advocates, they don't want to leave their lucrative practice and they don't want to become the judge, because guys, being a judge is a very big responsibility. Okay, people are already, as advocates, are making a lot of money, so they are not willing to join. So point is that we need to have more number of advocates, okay, who are willing to join. Moreover, at the same time, guys, we find this particular thing, that there are also the vacancies into the High Court that has been there, which have not up till now been filled. And if I tell you about the vacancy, around 25% of, fine, 25% of the seats into the High Courts, they are lying vacant. Fine. Moreover, here it has also been provided by the Supreme Court that into the past, the collegium system has recommended that judges name to be appointed, but those judges have not been cleared by the government. Those names have not been cleared by the president. So the point is not only doubling, rather, number one, the government needs to clear the names that are being suggested by the collegium for the High Court judges. Second thing is that we need to have adequate number of advocates first. Is it clear? Who are willing to join that. Moreover, over the years, now the Supreme Court judge had also provided one very kind of a insightful thing. He had said, now just a minute, I'll highlight it. Fine. He had said this particular thing. Fine, that the Supreme Court is becoming dysfunctional also because of the large variety of the petitions that can be filed into the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judge had said this thing, that this petition, the petition of doubling the strength of the High Court, would not be entertained by the US and UK Supreme Courts. Why? Because their mandate is very much limited, largely onto the constitutional cases. These kind of cases they usually don't take. But in the India's Supreme Court, High Court, virtually any petition can be moved. So as their mandate has increased, they have become overwhelmed by the number of cases that are also coming. So basically, the increase into the mandate, non-clearance of the names by the collegium, no absence of the good number of advocates who are willing to join the higher judiciary, these are the reasons that the number of the judges are less, and this particular thing will be rectified over a period of time only. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope you understand this particular thing. And moving to the next article now, the lack of strategic voting. Okay, so this is an article, guys, that had come into the Hindu newspaper, the lack of strategic voting, a study of the Uttar Pradesh 2017 election. Now, two things I want to tell you guys, that basically this particular article, it is an abstract article. Okay, now basically here the analysis of 2017 elections, that too of the Uttar Pradesh, is being done. You don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article, that which political party got which percentage of the share. That is not something important. However, some academic substance, academic points are there which we can see in this particular article, that we'll take. Now, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. Voter behavior. Voter behavior or electoral behavior. Electoral behavior. Okay. Now, let's take the article. The lack of a strategic voting. Okay. So basically, guys, here the reference has been taken from the French political scientist Maurice Duverger. Maurice Duverger has given one particular hypothesis, and the hypothesis is like this, that the relationship between the number of parties and its electoral system, okay, it provides this particular thing, that basically there is a relation between the number of parties and the electoral system. It has been provided that where there is a simple majority single ballot system, it favors the two party system. Fine, he explains that the simple majority single ballot system favors the two party system, while the simple majority system with a second ballot or proportional representation, fine, their multi party system is favored. Now, in very simple words, guys, what it means, now you see this particular thing. When we see the India, in India we follow the first past the post system. What is the meaning of first past the post system? It simply means that whosoever will get the highest number of the votes, that particular person will be elected. Suppose there are the three people that are contesting the election, ABC. ABC, let's say, got the 35% vote. Okay, B let's say got again 35, let's say B got 34% vote, and let's say C got the remaining votes. C got the remaining votes. Okay, so it comes around 35, 35, 70, 69. Okay, and the remaining, let's say 31% vote is taken by the C candidate. So here we find that this particular thing, okay, that the A candidate has the highest number of the votes in comparison to both of them. Okay, so therefore, the A simply will be elected. Now you see that the A did not got the majority vote, that is the more than 50%, but still the A will be voted. So in the first past the post system, whosoever is getting the highest number of the votes will be elected. Is it clear or not? That is something that happens. Now, moreover, when we are voting, okay, only one preference is given. Only one preference is given. There is the single ballot system. There is only one preference that is given. Okay, here basically the two party systems, they get more advantage. Now, here the article has explained that there are certain types of voters that are there in elections. Now, who are these type of voters? We'll understand this particular thing one by one. So, number one, here there are the certain type of voters. Number one are the voters who vote strategically. Now, who are the voters who vote strategically? Here it has been provided that the strategic voting is one where a voter despite feeling close to a political party votes for a different political party. Let's say I feel closely that I am aligned to the XYZ political party, but I will vote for the another political party because they find sometimes this particular thing that the latter party has a better chance of winning. Simply understand, suppose I feel more close to the Congress party, but I may end up voting for the BJP. Why? Because I might find this thing that the Congress doesn't has much chances of winning, rather the BJP has the chance of winning. So why to waste my vote? So I will change my political party onto the basis of seeing the winnability of a political party. So these are the strategic voters who will shift their voting patterns. Fine. They are expected to strategize their votes, keeping aside their attachment to a party when they feel their vote will be wasted. Is it clear or not? Now, these are the voters. Now, within the voters who vote strategically, there are the sub 4 categories that are there. Number one are the sincere voters. Sincere voters. Now, the sincere voters are the ones who will vote for the preferred party as they sincerely expect it to come in first or second in their constituency. Is it clear? Fine. So they don't have any reason to refrain. They don't have any reason to refrain. They think that their party is going to win. Then there is the expressive voter. There is the expressive voter. Expressive voter is the one who votes knowing who votes despite knowing that his party might lose. Okay, even you know your party might lose, but still they will be voting. Okay, they will vote for expressive function. Then there is one more type of voter, that is the insincere voter. Who is the insincere voter? Insincere voter is he votes for a party other than their preferred party, even though they believe that it will win the election. Clear? My preferred party is, let's say, X, but I'll vote for Y. Even X will win, then also I will vote for Y. Okay, so these are the insincere voters. And finally, the strategic voters. Strategic voters believe that their preferred party is unlikely to win, and therefore they will vote for the other kind of party. So these are the 4 type of voters. Then there are other 2 types of voters who don't want strategically, who cannot vote strategically. Now these are the 2 type of other voters. They are the unattached voters. Who are the unattached voters? Fine, they have no preference for a political party and they cannot strategically vote. They don't have, fine, so they are just going onto the polling booth. Fine, whosoever they will just like, they'll vote. They don't have any preference. So they are the unattached voter. Fine, so they cannot vote for the strategic reasons at all. Okay. Then there are the constrained voters. Constrained voters are the voters who prefer a party that is not running in their constituency and thus do not have the option to remaining loyal to their preferred party. Okay, so let's say I like, let's say, XYZ party, but that party is not contesting in my constituency. So these are the constrained voters. So there are the 6 type of voters that we have. That is the sincere voter, expressive voter, insincere voter, strategic voter, unattached voter, and the constrained voter. Now, it has been provided that when we do the analysis of the elections of the Uttar Pradesh in 2017, we find that particular thing that close to 28% people could not vote strategically as they were either unattached or constrained. Okay, a vast majority of sincere voters were limited to 1.1%, 1.6%. So these datas etc. have been given for the Uttar Pradesh. Now the article itself says this particular thing, that these datas are from Uttar Pradesh 2017 election and they might not be true for other states as well as in the other years. So this is for that particular year, that particular survey has been done. So just guys, these types of voters is something that you will see. No need to go too much into the data that how many percentage vote strategically, how many percentage cannot vote strategically, etc. That is all guys. So the limited reading of this particular article has to be made. So that is all guys about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Setting the language for cooperative federalism. Setting the language for cooperative federalism. Okay, so basically this particular article has been written by Mr. Hamid Ansari, who was the former vice president of India. Okay, now uh, so basically guys, the article is talking about the language issue. The article is talking about the language issue. So basically understand this particular thing. Before going in this particular article guys, I will tell you some of the basic things. When we talk about the official language and national language, fine. Number one, official language. Do we have official language? Yes, we have official language, and we have Hindi along with English as the official language of India. When we talk about the national language, we don't have any national language in India. Now official language guys, understand this particular thing, that when we got independent, after that official language was to be decided. Now official language will be that particular language which will be used for the communication between the center and the state, the language in which the public service exam will be happening, the language of courts, that will be the official language. So in the start there was a lot of confusion that what should be the official language, should it be Hindi or should it be English. Now the original idea was this, that English should not be made as an official language because English was the language of the Britishers and therefore it is representative of colonialism. So Hindi should be used as an official language. A large number of leaders believed in that. But there came a problem that the people in the southern India, many of them, a large number of them don't knew the Hindi. So it will be discrimination against them. So a compromise was made that the Hindi as well as of English will be used as an official language for the 15 years, that is from 1950 to 1965, and after that the Hindi will replace. But actually what happened in 1963 and 1967, the amendment was carried into the Official Language Act and Hindi along with the English became an official language for the times to come. This is something that has happened. Now guys, when we talk about India, we find this particular thing that India had large multiplicities of culture. Okay, when we talk about the multiplicities of culture, the language becomes one very important aspect of culture, and on to the basis of the language also, there is the multiple cultures that are existing. Now understand this particular thing. The article is saying that the still we are using the English as the official language, fine, and many number of times though English has been used, but the people, the leaders have not expressed much eagerness towards the English, and from time to time again this particular issue will come. Now just here the article is talking about that part 7, where article 343 to 351 has been mentioned, fine, which talks about the official language. There some provisions have been given. Let's discuss these provisions one by one and then we will be discussing about it more. Article 345 is there. Fine, Article 345 leaves it to the state to choose its language for the official purpose. And here we have find that many of the states and the union territories have actually chosen the English. Then Article 348 stipulates that all the proceedings of the Supreme Court and of every High Court and the bills in the Parliament shall be raised into the English language. So here again the English language has been given preference. States have chosen the English language. Then the 8th schedule is there. Now guys, in 8th schedule there are the 22 languages. Now these 22 languages are the ones, fine, which can be basically these 22 languages are there who have been provided into the scheduled language, and these particular languages can be used for the purpose of the official language in a state. Okay, and this particular language is those particular languages from which the inspiration can also be taken for the development of the other languages in India. Now basically when we talk about guys the official language, now understand this particular thing. Under the Official Language Act there was the provision of the committee of the official language, which will be proposing from time to time that can Hindi be replaced Can Hindi be replaced as the official language, and what is the improvement that has been done into the usage of Hindi as the official language? So from time to time, the official language committee can be established. This was also the provision under the Official Language Act. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. When we talk about the Official Languages Act, I told you it was amended in 1963. Then the rules were made in 1976, 1987, 2007, 2011. Now, the question is now, guys, the question is coming right now because recently what has happened, a new report was submitted by the Official Language Committee to the President of India, and in that particular committee there were in that particular report there were certain provisions which have become controversial. I'll just be explaining that particular provision in just a minute. Now, basically, it has been provided that the question of the national language fine had brought the passionate dissents in the Constituent Assembly. Okay, now when we talk about the Constituent Assembly debates, guys, at that point of a time, deciding which is going to be official language was very important. Why? Because this language will be used as the language in legislature, will be used as a language of court, if for the official work purpose, for the educational institutions of national importance, scientific and technical education. All these will be given into that particular official language. Now, basically, there, guys, have been multiple commissions also who have given their views. So here we find this particular thing that the BG Kher Commission has been mentioned. Now BG Kher Commission, fine, BG Kher Commission has been there, which had given that dissent onto the language issue. Now, when we talk about, guys, the official language, I already told you that the official language provided that there needs to be a committee on official language which time to time will be giving its suggestions. So we have the parliamentary committees, and the official language committee that we have, it has 30 members of the parliament, and it is headed by the Home Minister. And this official language committee is to review the progress made in the use of Hindi for official purpose and to make the recommendation to how to use Hindi in the official languages. It submitted its report to the President of India, and then that particular report is forwarded to the both houses of parliament, that is the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Now, basically, guys, what has happened up till now, the 1 to 9 report, that is the report by 2010, they have been forwarded to the parliament. The 10th and the 11th report, they have been submitted to the president, and that particular report is not available in the parliament. That report is not available into the public domain. Recently the 11th report of the Official Language Committee has been submitted. Now, there are certain sections which have been highlighted by the Home Minister, and the Home Minister had highlighted that this 11th report has highlighted that the language of instruction and examination in technical courses in the non-Hindi, in the Hindi speaking areas will be Hindi. It has also been provided that the Hindi should be made as a national language. Hindi should be used as a language of instruction. For the language of examination, the textbook should be provided into the Hindi in the Hindi speaking regions. This is something. Now, this particular thing has been criticized. Why this particular thing has been criticized? Because, guys, understand this particular thing, that for example, when we talk about the engineering colleges, fine, let's say there is an engineering college into the Uttar Pradesh, which is a Hindi speaking state, but there might be a possibility that a student from Tamil Nadu had got the admission into the college of Uttar Pradesh. If the medium of instruction is Hindi here, if the books are into the Hindi here, then the people from the South India, people from the Northeast India who might not be knowing the Hindi, they will be at the disadvantage. Now, it has been criticized, this committee has been criticized. It has been said that when we talk about the Official Language Act, fine, here it has been provided that it is to be recalled that the language of the chapter on official language is definitive and limit itself to the language of the union. Fine, the suggestions that are to be given, that will be limited to the language will be used by the center and the state. Medium of instruction, that language you cannot suggest. Moreover, it has also been provided that we have the Article 344 subclause 3, which stipulates that the just claims and interest of person belonging to non-Hindi speaking states need to be taken. But here those particular concerns are not being taken up. Now these concerns are not being taken up. Okay, this is something that has been there. Moreover, here it has been provided that Article 345 provides that it allows legislature to use the Hindi or to choose its language for its official purposes. Fine, so for its official purposes they can use it, but imposing one language for the medium of examination, for the medium of instruction, this is not something which is good, and this was not even something that was suggested even by the mandate of the Official Language Act. So this is, guys, the entire issue that has been there. Now moving to the next article. EWS are well represented into the higher education. Now, this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, issues of affirmative action, issues of reservation. Now, guys, first of all, basically in this particular line, multiple articles have come into the past few days. Now, okay. So, what's the issue? Basically, what has happened recently, we have seen that the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act's constitutional validity was challenged into the Supreme Court. 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act provides 10% reservation to the economically weaker sections. Okay. Now, this particular amendment was challenged because here in this particular reservation, the SC, STs and OBCs cannot claim the advantage under the EWS reservation. So, it was said that it is discriminating of the SC, STs and OBCs. And second challenge that was there, it was that basically the reservation are extended by more than 50%. Okay, so there was the Indira Sahani judgment. There was the Indira Sahani case of 1992, and the Indira Sahani case very clearly provided that maximum reservation should not be more than 50%. But now 59.5% reservation are being given. Okay. Moreover, the challenge was made. That the Constitution has only provided the reservation on the social background, but here the economic background is being used. So on all these particular charges, this particular amendment was challenged. Now, what has happened? The Supreme Court gave its ruling and it had upheld the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Supreme Court said that it is not a problem. You can give the EWS reservation. Now, this particular article that has come into the newspaper, it is just analyzing that whether the EWS are properly represented or not represented into the higher educational institutions. So, now, this Constitutional Amendment Act, sometimes it will also be referred as 124 Amendment Bill. So, Act is 103rd, but the bill is 124 number. Now, the article is talking about that when we talk about the NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework 2019 data, it suggests that the economically weaker section student constituted 19% in the NIRF ranked higher educational institution. So, under NIRF, fine, higher institutions are ranked. So, within those institutions, 19% students are from EWS category, whereas the students from the scheduled caste category, tribes, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBC category are 39%. Moreover, here it is being provided proportion of EWS student in higher college is around 28%. Then the third, the article is talking about that when we talk about the share of EWS students into the public higher educational institution, public institutions and private institutions, their number is 19% and 20%. Okay, this was in 2019. And in 2021, their number is 17% in the public institution, public higher educational institution, fine, and 13% into the private higher educational institutions. Now understand this particular thing, that even when they were outside the purview, they had good numbers into the higher educational institution. Here it has been provided that the EWS students, anyhow they have been, there is more than 10% of students of EWS category which are represented into the higher educational institutions. So this particular data shows that the EWS students are not excluded or they are not underrepresented into the premier higher educational institution. So they are properly represented, and in that particular capacity, giving the 10% reservation might not be justified as per this particular article. The article is saying that as by employing the Palma ratio, fine, which is the measure of inequality, EWS constitute about 24% of all students enrolled from the poorest households. So even if they are poor, there is the 1/4 representation, 24% representation of them. So therefore, they are not underrepresented, and according to the article, the EWS reservation that has been given is not completely justified. Okay, but one thing is that, guys, if you are following the newspaper analysis regularly, I think already we have taken 8 or 9 articles onto this particular EWS issue. You are not required to go and follow each and every article in this particular direction. Okay, now moving to the next article. India and Bangladesh establish contact as more Kuki-Chin refugees are expected to enter Mizoram. So this particular guys article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, internal security as well as refugee issues. Now, Actually, what is happening? Let's understand this particular article in very simple words. So basically, guys, they, there is the Chittagong Hill Tract area in the Bangladesh. Now, when we talk about the Chittagong Hill Tract area, there the Kukuchin, okay, Kukuchin refugees, Kukuchin people are living. Kuki-Chin people are living. Now, these Kuki-Chin people, okay, when we talk about these Kuki-Chin people, okay, they are tribal. Their culture is actually ethnically different from the Muslim Bangladeshis who are there. Now, these tribal population, they in the past had link with the India, and particularly within the India, the tribals living into the Mizoram. There, these people who belonged to the Kuki-Chin community, they have the kind of a cultural links are there. Now, right now, guys, we are finding right now what is happening. Basically, the rapid action battalion, which is the force of the Bangladesh, it is giving it is going for a crackdown onto the Kuki Chin fighters. Now, the Kuki Chin fighters, it is an armed wing of the Kuki Chin National Front. Now, Kuki Chin National Front, it is a body that is asking for many of the constitutional rights, constitutional protection about the Kuki Chin people within the Bangladesh. And it is being said that this Kuki Chin fighters have taken up the violence, they have taken up the weapons against the government. So therefore, the Rapid Action Battalion of the Bangladesh is attacking these Kuki Chin people. Now, because of that particular crackdown that is happening in the Bangladesh, the Kuki Chin people, they have started to come in the India. Okay, and particularly within the India, in the Mizoram state, the Kuki Chin people are coming into the significant numbers. Now, guys, here it has been provided that the 10 days, within the 10 days, okay, earlier 270 Kuki Chin refugees came, and after that 150 more refugees have expected to take shelter in Mizoram. Now, when we talk about, guys, India is not the signatory of the United Nations Refugee Convention of 1951. Moreover, we have also not signed the 1967 protocol, and we don't recognize the refugees undocumented migrants, and they can be persecuted under the Foreigners Act. Moreover, as more and more refugees are coming in India, it will put a pressure onto the resources of India also. So therefore, what has happened, India and Bangladesh are basically negotiating or talking on this Kuki Chin refugee issue who have entered the Mizoram. So this is the issue that is going on. Fine. However, over the days, we need to see that how this particular issue further will be evolving. Okay. Now, moving to the next article. What is the Karnataka voter data theft case? Now, this particular article, guys, will just be seen as an example, just as a case study, that often how the electoral data is compromised and why there is an urgent necessity that we should bring the personal data protection bill as early as possible. Now, basically, guys, in Karnataka, what has happened? Okay, first of all, too much substance is not there in this particular article. Okay, just we need to see the peripheral issues that are there. So actually, what has happened? Chilume Educational Culture and Rural Development Trust. It is a trust, fine, in the Karnataka. And what they have done, they have collected the personal information from the public, fine, and they represented that they are the BBMP officials. Okay, they have represented that they are the BBMP officials. Okay, now just a minute. Okay, BBMP stands for Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palika. So they have just claimed that they are the BBMP officials, and they have collected a lot of data. They have collected the information of the voters, their Aadhaar number, their phone number, their voter ID number. Okay, and all that particular information was uploaded onto their own application, that is the Digital Samiksha, which is developed by the trust. Now, this information is not developed onto the Election Commission's voter registration app Garuda. Rather, this particular information is uploaded their own app, and this is an example of the data theft which is being said. It has been said that they were not empowered to collect that particular data. Now, this particular thing, guys, though the data has been collected, and by this particular thing, it will act as a deterrent onto this particular organization, but the data that got collected, it would have compromised up till now. So, because of these particular instances, we need to immediately bring the personal data protection bill. Because, guys, this particular data is very much crucial, and on this particular basis of data, a lot of trends, a lot of patterns can be drawn, and the elections actually can be influenced. So these kind of an instances happen from time to time. Now, when we talk about the right to privacy, fundamental right to privacy has already been recognized into the Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India judgment, where the right to privacy was recognized as a fundamental right within the Article 21. And this NGO who had collected this particular data, in a way it has violated the fundamental right for the people. But what will happen in this particular circumstance? We don't up till now have we don't have the Personal Data Protection Act in place. Recently, the government has introduced the Personal Data Protection Bill just 2 weeks back, but it will take time to get passed. So urgently, we need to work on this particular thing. So that is all, guys, about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Slow capital spending by the states, CPSC is still a worry. Now, capital spending, guys, means the spending which is done for building up the infrastructure, okay, or reducing the liabilities of a country. Now, the expenditure that is done by the government can be the capital expenditure, can be the revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure is for day-to-day operations, day-to-day functions, etc. Now, whenever there is a kind of a basically when there is a kind of a recessionary trend in any country, or whenever there is a growth which is subdued, not very good, the countries, they try to invest in capital, they try to increase the capital in investment, because when the infrastructure will be developed, a lot people will get employment. It will enhance the logistic capability of country. That infrastructure will indirectly be promoting the manufacturing sector and all of that. So capital expenditure is increased. Now, guys, it has been seen that though there is a sharp rise in the centers, there is a sharp rise in the centers capital spending, but the capital expenditure by the states, it is low, it has dropped. Moreover, the capital expenditure by the PSUs, okay, when we talk about the CPSCs, it is likely to contract for the third consecutive year. So public sector enterprises, they are not doing the capital expenditure. States, they are also not increasing the capital expenditure. Either their capital expenditure is static or their capital expenditure has declined. So we find that the capex is likely to contract for third year for the CPSCs, that is the central public sector enterprises. It will remain same for the states. Okay, public sector capex is likely to fall to the 8 years low. Center government is increasing the capital expenditure, but only the center government cannot work effectively in this particular direction. The states as well as the PSUs also have to increase. Only then there will be the economic revival that will come. Okay. Devices which can convert any normal bed into ICU to be deployed in the 6 states. So here, guys, the an example has been given of DOSI. Now, what is this DOSI? DOSI, it is a contactless remote vital parameter monitoring device which can convert any normal bed into the ICU. Okay, so this particular device, guys, it can track the body vitals. For example, heart rate, blood oxygen rate, is it clear or not, blood pressure. All these particular vitals of a body organ can be tracked by this DOSI, a contactless remote parameter, okay, device. Now, this particular device will be deployed in the 6 states, and there are nearly 400 units that have been procured, and they are being developed by a Turtle Shell Technologies Private Limited, which is a healthcare company. Now, this is, guys, actually a good example. This is actually a good example that how the startups, how the budding enterprises, they are providing the solutions. Now, see this particular thing. As per the data given by World Bank, India only had 1,25,000 ICU beds for the population of 1.4 billion people. So there is absolute shortage of the ICU beds, and in that particular capacity, these particular kind of innovations, these particular kind of devices can help a lot. Okay, so that is about it. And now we come to the mains practice question for today. So the question says, as per the data by the National Judicial Data Grid, courts saw an increase of 27% in pendency between 2019 and 2022. In this context, suggests the measures needed for the urgent resolution of the high pendency of case within the judicial system. This article, GS paper number 2, has to be written in the 10 marker. Fine. Now, guys, let's take the doubts. So there is one doubt of the Mahi Tiwari. I have one gap year between 10th and the 12th, and I have completed my graduation with BSc from CSJMU and had to spend 4 years instead of 3 years. Want to give UPSC exam. Am I eligible or not? As soon as yes, dear, you are eligible. You are eligible. If you have the degree, doesn't matter where there was a gap. Even if you have done your degree in 5 years, 6 years, let's say the degree was 3 years. If you have even took the 4 years, 5 years to complete that degree also, you are eligible. You need to have the degree. That's it. Yes, you are eligible for this exam. Mahi, you can give it. Okay, so I hope that the doubt is clear. That is all, guys, about the today's session. Guys, I hope that you have liked the session, and if you have liked, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. So that is all for today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow.